The homes here on Canyon View Loop were evacuated Tuesday night as firefighters worked to keep the fire from coming up the canyon to consume them. With that, the news crews rushed to get their equipment away from the flames as they made their way up the canyon to Vista Point, where crews have been getting updates from firefighters all week. Now, one thing that's complicating that investigation is the tear gas that was fired into the home last night. About a dozen of them look like this one here, where the vandals actually broke them off about halfway down the trunk, but they also took out a large section of this fence behind me, leaving a big mess for crews when they arrived this morning. All of the 1,400 personnel working the fire are working 24-hour shifts right now, 24 on, 24 off. So each morning, CAL FIRE is holding a 7 a.m. briefing to update the new crews coming on about the current conditions and what the fire's done overnight. Because the sun isn't as bright, you may want to consider trading those dark sunglasses you wore during the summer for a pair with a more amber or brown hue that provides better contrast. And that meeting is just getting underway, and it'll go on until 8 o'clock here at the Chico City Council chambers. Live in downtown Chico, Bryan Callahan for Action News. As you can see, in this area burned Wednesday, firefighters are still dealing with steep and rugged terrain, limiting the use of bulldozers. That's forcing hand crews to go in to cut the containment lines on foot. North State teenagers getting a fast start to their summer. I'm Bryan Callahan. Coming up, I'll give you a look at Butte County Safety Agency's summer camp. But because of the 8-foot tall fences and bushes around the property, they had no idea how big the grow was. Yeah, Alan and Judy, I was standing at Vista Point this afternoon, shooting some video of a fire on a nearby hill, and then went to do an interview with a firefighter. The next thing I knew, raging flames were suddenly about 100 feet away.
And if you can see behind us, we're starting to get some fire activity, so I'd kind of like this to back up, guys.
Okay.
With that, the news crews rushed to get their equipment away from the flames as they made their way up the canyon to Vista Point, where crews have been getting updates from firefighters all week.
This is exactly what we talked about, an increase in wind, an increase in temperature, caused the fire to actively run up the hill. Fortunately, we're supported by aircraft. Engines quickly got here, and fortunately, it did not cross south on Highway 36.
Residents who live near the Battle Creek drainage area have been dealing with the fast-moving fire for the past 3 days. The homes here on Canyon View Loop were evacuated Tuesday night as firefighters worked to keep the fire from coming up the canyon to consume them. And as you can see, they were able to successfully save the homes, stopping the fire just before it reached the fence line.
We're happy to report none were damaged nor destroyed. A lot of that was because of the hard work of firefighters on the ground and in the air.
Firefighters spent much of the day Wednesday working to create lines to stop the fire's eastern movement, but officials issued an evacuation warning for the community of Mineral as a precaution.
Fire activity can change very quickly. This is a great example of that. We don't anticipate getting the fire there, but we want to be ready in case it does.
Because of that flare-up, there's currently one-way traffic control on Highway 36 near Vista Point because of air operations being done to contain the fire. That's supposed to last until about 8 o'clock tonight. For Action News, I'm Bryan Callahan. The scenes may have been staged, but the skilled SWAT team members were working on at Wednesday's training could end up saving their lives or someone else's.
By exposing the teams to all kinds of different circumstances out here, that gives them real life exposure to some of the possibilities that they could encounter.
SWAT teams were required to train 16 hours a month, but the special training session gave teams a chance to do more with their time.
It's basically an opportunity to work a variety of different problems in a round-robin fashion in one day.
During the training, each team got to choose from 6 different stations, including vehicle assault training, hostage rescue, tactical medical training, and live fire drills. Each session gave the teams a chance to compare tactics.
And we get ideas from each other. Guys go to schools and bring them back to their agencies, and then when we get together in a big group like this helps us all learn the best ways to solve a problem.
Every team has an opportunity to provide something new to the environment.
With so many SWAT teams on hand, several vendors showed up to show off some of the latest equipment available to officers and departments.
This is a great opportunity for 12 teams to look at each other, see the different equipment and tools different teams have.
The event was coordinated by the FBI and held at the Butte County Sheriff's Office Training Center. And the sheriff says the facility was built with events like this in mind.
The whole idea was to have a number of agencies to utilize the facility and hopefully come away with some skills that perhaps they never get the opportunity to use.
The bats may have the same ping, but they don't have the same pop.
We've seen it already. The amount of home runs are down, the the amount of hits, the runs from our last fall. So I think it's safe to say that our pitchers are feeling a little safer out there.
Over the past 6 months, the use of aluminum bats in baseball has been grabbing headlines for the increased power they can generate.
The aluminum bat companies, they've had this lobbying power for a long time to keep those around, and you know, I think people are finally realizing that you know, from a standpoint of safety and just putting in the kids in the right environment, the wood bat's the best option.
The sport hasn't reached that point yet, but the NCAA has instituted new rules for the 2011 season, further restricting the capabilities of aluminum bats. And after a Bay Area high school pitcher was hit by a line drive last March, leaving him in a coma for 2 weeks, the California Interscholastic Federation decided to speed up its regulation process if they can get the safer bats into the hands of players this year.
We've seen great plays by pitchers too, but a split second later, those great plays could have been disasters.
Under the new guidelines, aluminum bats will have to meet the batted ball coefficient of restitution, or BB core guidelines. The new rating tests the way the ball bounces off the bat and also tests to make sure the bat's performance doesn't improve over time. Players who have used the BB core rated bats say they have definitely noticed a difference.
And we've hit with them the last 4 weeks in some inter squads and stuff, and we've just seen that they stayed the same the whole time.
The new bats will also be required to have a tamper-proof stamp or decal that will change if someone tries to modify the bat to improve performance.
What the rolling does is it breaks kind of the inner core of the bat so that the speed of the ball coming off of the bat is at a higher rate.
CIF officials aren't sure if there will be enough bats on the market to meet the new requirements for the upcoming season. They're expected to make that determination by the end of December, and local officials are warning parents to wait until after a decision is made to buy a new bat.
Because you can get some bats right now that will meet the new standard for this year, but won't meet the new standard for next year. And so we want parents to make wise decisions so that the bats can last for the length of the students' time in high school, if that's possible.
While coaches and players are constantly searching for more power at the plate, many believe this will not be the last regulation passed on baseball bats.
I think it's, like I said, inevitable that at some point we're going to end up all swinging wood and be a little safer environment for the pitchers and position guys.